This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning everyone, and welcome to the Radical Race Series round number 7 here at Montreal or Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me for the first time this season is the fantastic Colin Mooney. Now, Colin, just briefly, before we get into qualifying, you've done a fair bit of commentary yourself, but this is the first time you're with us, and actually I believe it's the first time you're sort of getting into the iRacing scene as well. Very, very excited to have you here. Again, obviously, I can imagine this is going to be an exciting time for you, jumping into the first, your first ever iRacing comms.
Oh, 100%. I'm so looking forward to this, and especially with the Radical cars around Montreal, and obviously with yourself, a well-established commentator. I'm really looking forward to see how you do it and learn from the best, I suppose, in the business. So really looking forward to this.
I appreciate that. But there are certainly a lot of people better than me. Right, we're going to go, before we jump into qualifying, which is actually underway now, we're going to have a quick look at the championship standings. And in fact, we're going to bring them up, and here they are now. So Martin Booker, last round, retakes the lead because John Hutchinson wasn't there for last round, but he is for this round. He is back. So Martin Booker leads with 178 points. Simon Edwards is in second. Again, just sort of steady. He's always there or thereabouts. 162 points. John Hutchinson, he's got a bit of a way to go now. He's got 25 points. That's 23 points, actually, if I can actually add up, which I can't. So he's on 155 points. Paul Crabb in P4 with 146. Dave Kirkman, 133. So it's still very, very close, even to the top 10. Not Martina Ward doing a very, very good job as well in 10th with 106 points. So not that many points separate, going into the second half of the season. Now, leading into qualifying. So, again, Colin, for the reference of what we can do, it's the lone qualifying format. Now, I know, obviously, lone qualifying format is very, very different to... it's very, very different to when you're going through and actually going through with cars out on track. I mean, do you normally have a preference when it comes to qualifying, or do you prefer cars out on track with yourself, or do you prefer to be on track, on your own?
To be honest with you, I'd rather be on my own for the simple fact being no one can slow you down or kind of distract you from what you're actually doing. To be quite honest, I'd rather be by myself.
Well, absolutely. No, and I enjoy both of them at the same time. It's strange. I do enjoy both of them at different times. First time's now coming on the board, as you can see. So we do have first times have come out on the board. So we've now got that Simon who was currently in the way with a 129.7. The only person in the 29s at the moment, although that will change, because normally the faster these cars become as the qualifying does go on, as the qualifying progresses, as the qualifying moves forward, you will see that these times do start to come down. John Hutchinson goes in there. There we are with a 129.9. So there's a couple of purple sectors being set here. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz, we didn't see him last week, but he is back. Again, what time is he going to do going down for his first flying lap as he comes across the line? It's going to be puts him in P4, respectable time there with a 130.367. You can see over on the left-hand side all of the fastest times that the drivers have done. Yeah, it's very, very close at the moment. Now, again, this will get closer here, because after the first lap times have been gone through, again, these cars will get quicker as the qualifying goes. A little bit further down the field, another driver that hasn't set a lap time, although is coming down to that final chicane, is Dave Rolliston, the number 262, so he comes through. What's his first time going to be? Phil Jocelyn, you see, moves up, as well as Paul Clark over in P8. Paul Crabb up into second. What's Dave Rolliston going to do? We're going to see a top 10. And we are going to see currently P15 for Dave Rolliston, but again, he's got another couple laps to go. Here, the lap times are really starting to come in now. So you've got Dom Lang-Webb. He's just gone up into P11 as well. So again, another strong qualifying for him so far. Martina Ward, one of the only drivers that has not set a qualifying lap. Number 10th in the championship standings. Getting faster and faster every single race, which is great. I'm sure we're going to see, again, another strong performance here. It's still very, very close between between the front of the field. The top 12 being separated. Actually, having a look at it, really, I've just noticed that actually Simon Edwards has just done a 1:29 dead. So he is just absolutely monstered that time. Actually, he's done a 28.999, but nearest makes a difference. It is a 28. That is fast. Being 7/10 ahead of, likes of Paul Grab, etc. Very, very fast lap time. And I mean, that's a time, that sort of gap, again, you would imagine, Colin, when you're going through, regardless of how close competitors are, a gap like that's got to be tricky to get down. Yeah,
it's a nice benchmark to set. At least, I suppose Simon there has a little bit of a gap between it. But then again, as the track rubbers in, as the fuel loads actually go down as well, and all these radicals and the guys getting their eye in, I do presume a few of these guys will definitely make them sweat a bit.
Certainly so. We're coming down to, we've got a 10 minutes, so another 4 minutes remaining in this open qualifying format. Michael LeMay is going to go across for his third lap. This will be the last lap that he does. He goes into P11, so that's Michael LeMay's qualifying over. John Hutchinson does move up, but he only moves up into P4. That is the end of his qualifying, so he won't be doing any more times from there. We've got a little bit of an issue with the stream. Apologies. We're going to be hopefully bringing that back. Seems our cameras have decided that they don't want to be very much want to be cameras anymore, but we hopefully will get you the picture back in a few moments' time. So we're gonna have to do a bit of commentary as if they would do on the radio while we get those cameras. While we do get those cameras back. So John Hutchinson, he now has dropped down to P5. He's dropped down to P6 even because Sergio Martinez de la Cruz has just come in up into P5. You can see it on the timing tower on the left hand side, but he, as I said, so John Hutchinson down to P6 now. So he's really gonna have to make his way back up the field because that's again from the current. Absolutely rapid is John Hutchinson. Again, very, very, very strange to see him down in P6. Normally, we see him at an absolute minimum in second place, but it's good. It certainly will bring an element of excitement going down into this race. We're going to actually have a very, very quick break while we load back in. While we just reset our cameras, get everything back up, we're going to have a very quick break. So do bear with us. We'll be back with you in a few moments' time for round number 7 of the Radical Race Series. So don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. Apologies for the small delay that we had there. We've actually come back just in time for the grid. And we have the grid here. We're going to have to run through it pretty quickly. Simon Edwards, again, absolutely storming the way. Over 5 tenths ahead of Mike Busson in P2. No, very, very, very good performance from Mike Busson. Paul LeMay takes P3 with Paul Crabb in 4th. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz in P5 with John Hutchinson in P6. Martin Booker is 7th. Colin Wynn is 8th. Paul Clark is 9th. And then Dave Kirkman rounding out the top 10. Michael LeMay takes 11th with Dom Langweb in P12. Phil Jocelyn is in 13th. Ray Peasley takes P14 on the grid. Dave Dowson 15th. Graham Brown in 16th. Martin Ward takes P17 with Dave Rollerson in 18th. Phil Glover 19th. Guy Robertson P20. And then Damien G in P21. This grid will not stay the same. I can certainly assure you that. This is going to be an interesting race. I remember, Colin, actually, you just said there before we came back live. You just said there that it's it's really, really close between the top 7. It's nice to see a very, very even spread across the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than seeing what was a 4 tenths of a second between 2nd and 7th, and then even all the way back there was less than a second, I think, down to 15th.
Certainly so. Certainly so. It's going to be a very, very good race. I'm very much looking forward to it. There is the blimp cam. All of the cars, a couple more drivers yet to get on the grid, and then we're going to be underway. So this race, we will be able to let you know how many laps it is in a few moments. I would imagine around 17 to 18 laps, possibly. A little bit more, a little bit less. Not too long. I said one more driver left to go on the grid, and in fact, we should just see a bit of a gap. You can just see a gap there towards the rear left of the rear right shot. But we are going to go ahead with the race. So the lights come on, 5 lights. When are we going to go? He sees the flames spitting out from all the cars, and it's a pretty even start. A couple of drivers dropped off. Actually, a very, very poor start there for Paul LeMay. He's dropped down to about P6, P7 already. Simon Edwards dashes for turn 1 on the inside, manages to keep it, and he goes away already. So he's just pulled half a second gap already on Mike Busson in P2. So, pretty strong start from the two of them. John Hutchinson, he's already made up a couple of places. He's got past Booker and Paul LeMay, obviously. So he goes through. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz, he's dropped a couple of positions here as well. You can just see the infamous flag on the top of John Hutchinson's car then. It's certainly a car that you do not, that you won't miss in a hurry. A little bit wide there. Look like Dave Kirkman. He's dropped a position to Colin Wynn. Couldn't really do much about that, in all honesty. So he has to he'll have to try and fight his way through the field again. It's always a shame dropping these positions early on in the race. Everyone gets through cleanly, though. There was a couple of drivers that had a couple of offs. We may get some replays for you in a few moments' time. As we come down into the hairpin, everyone still manages to go through pretty cleanly. Simon Evans has just checked out at this point. He's running 1.3 seconds ahead of Mike Busson. I don't think he'll get much airtime because he would have just driven away from the rest of the pack. But we'll have to see. Coming down into the final chicane, it's a slipstream section this is. You can carry a fair bit of overspeed going. You can just see there Paul LeMay going very, very deep. Who was that? That was Paul Crabb that's lost a couple of positions. He is going to have a massive slowdown there, probably about 3 or 4 seconds he's going to have to get rid of. That will cost him, and that has cost him several positions. So he is dropped down into P7. Bear in mind he started in P4. That's a bit wide there. That was John Hutchinson. Very rare mistake there from Hutchinson. Oh my goodness, how on earth did he miss? Okay, that was the thing. I think Paul LeMay will be needing a new race suit after that, perhaps. So I think, do you know what? There was contact. You can just see Paul LeMay's car. It's just been pushed up on that rear quarters. There was a little bit of contact there. Graham Brown's had a incident we've just seen on the tower for us. So again, we're going to get you we'll get you another couple of replays here. Time and tower now goes up. There's a bit of movement between Phil Jocelyn and Paul Crabb, and Phil Jocelyn has indeed made that move stick. They come down now into the second half of the lap for lap 2 of 16. Wasn't too far off with the laps there. So go through again, keeps it over. You've got to be careful over the curbs here. But opening couple of laps there, Colin. Pretty even stuff. It was some very, very fair racing there.
Yeah, it was actually very, very good. Martin Booker was a standout for me. He's up 4 positions there at the minute, up in 3rd spot as we speak. Unfortunately, Paul is actually down 7 positions as we speak, so he's kind of struggling a bit, and hopefully he can get that momentum back and put a fight on ahead there with, I think it's... is it Phil Jocelyn? Sorry. just getting the names all right here as well, being new. So I'm looking forward to see here what Paul does. Can he come back against Phil? Definitely for me, the standout has been Martin at the start. Oh, we have a big spinner there. Oh, no, that was a replay, was it?
That was
I
Dave
only missed that.
Rolliston that just tagged the wall there. Another incident here. This was for Graham Brown actually going down into turn 3. I wonder if he taps the grass. No, he doesn't tap the grass. Does he tap the inside? Yeah, okay, there we go. So
Just dropped it.
yeah, it just goes around again. Cold tyres. These cars these take a lap or so, a couple of laps to really get up to temperature. So that'll be the issue there. Great camera angle there as you go through. It's a really, it's almost like pretty much, it's a really tight street circuit, but it's so fast at the same time. It's just, there's absolutely nothing when it comes to, you can see there, it's grass, very, very small amount of grass, and then barrier. So you really haven't got that much opportunity for any mistakes here, which I think makes it, all the more exciting. Because we've got possibly another move there. I think Paul Crabb wanted to have a look back up the inside of Phil Jocelyn. But nothing there at the moment, though. But he's certainly looking like he wants that position back. That is the battle for P10. So they come down into the hairpin. That's a very, very late line. That's not going to be around the outside, is it? No way. Is he going to try and get a cut back? He doesn't quite. But he does carry the overspeed. This could very well be a move. We're going to stay on this battle here. Because I want to see if Paul Crabb is able to make that move. You can see the overspeed there. Really, really working as he pulls out just about from the slipstream.
Phil's hanging on though for the inside line.
Maybe last of the late breakers, and it's going to be. I'll tell you what, that was a stellar move there from Paul Crabb. Very, very well done. Phil Johnson, though, again gave about as much room as required. No real move more. Obviously held it on the inside, but the overspeed. This is where the overspeed here really, really does help. If you can carry that extra bit of speed going down into the chicane, you do have an advantage.
Yeah, I think Phil done the right thing, held the inside line, but Paul definitely had the speed there, and it was inevitable, it was going to happen, and he made the move and he made it stick. So it was fantastic driving from both drivers in that bit of a battle there for a lap or so. Indeed,
so, and this certainly won't be the end of the battles here. This is one to keep an eye out of, because you've got John Hutchinson 3/10 behind Paul LeMay, just sort of biding his time at the moment. Whether, depending on how much practice that John has had. What's happened to Martin Booker? There's Martin Booker there. He must have had an off going down into the chicane. Don't quite know what happened. There's nothing that was showing up on the tower. Oh, Martin Booker goes very, very wide there. That could have ended badly. Nearly ran to the back of Hutchinson, but luckily that didn't happen. And in fact, let's have a look at what happened to Martin Booker. He just goes wide. Yeah, it just goes wide down into. I mean, in all honesty, the gap wasn't as big as I thought. Actually, to be perfectly honest, so he does manage to. He manages to only lose a couple of positions. John Hutchinson has actually just got past Paul LeMay, so I'll go and see if we can quickly grab that overtake here. Well, we've got a bit of a breather on the inside this time. Interestingly enough, again, last of the late breakers. And Paul LeMay, I'll tell you what, Paul LeMay gave it a good old go on that defend. Tried to break as late as he could, and really didn't lose. He lost minimal time there. Very, very, about as much space as you could probably leave. You don't want to leave any less space than that. But both drivers again getting through cleanly. Martin Booker's had another incident. What's happened to Martin Booker again?
Oh no, he's after dropping down a lot.
That's certainly not. Oh dear. That's Phil Jocelyn. That's Phil Jocelyn that's come into contact as well. So I'm not too sure what's happened. That's going down into turn 3. Could it be maybe a tag on the grass? We'll see if we can get a replay of that in a second. But before that, though, there's a bit of a battle here between Michael LeMay and Dave Dowson. It's going to be a drag race down into the second chicane. And Dave Dowson actually backs out of that early. I wonder if he's going to try and get the run down into the hairpin. 3/10 of a second is the gap. I don't think it's going to be enough, but keep an eye out for Martina Ward, though. Martina Ward, again, now up 5 positions. Remember, started in P17, could be up 6 positions, but doesn't quite make it through on Dave Dowson there. Yeah, right. Colin, let's have a quick look at what happened here to Martin Booker. So, going down, could it be a tag on the grass? No, just a bit too late on the brakes. So too late on the brakes, and then does he just get, unfortunately, tagged at the wrong moment? Oh, that's just wrong place at wrong time. unfortunately, let's have a look at what happened to Phil Johnson. So this is, what, 5 or 6 seconds late? Yeah, just outbreaks himself. And that's such a shame. I feel absolutely good. That would have been a bad instant for either of them. That probably would have been just a small off for the both. That was wrong place at wrong time.
May I say one thing though? Simon Edwards is absolutely in control out front. He's consistently in the 129s. Last lap was a 129.7. The lap before that was a 129.69, and now he's done a 129.67. He's absolutely flying out in front there. Absolutely in control.
He very much is. Like I said, that gap is is just growing ever more. It's 3.5 seconds now. Not the biggest gap we've seen, surprisingly, but it's certainly a big gap. Nevertheless, this is a nice little three-way battle here. This is a battle for P7. Dave Kirkman is leading this battle. Unfortunately, he's going to feel the effect. Oh, that was a cheeky move there from Paul Crabb. I thought he was going to make a move there on Paul Clark, but decides against it. That may have given Dave Kirkman enough, because Kirkman at this moment, he's not going to have any cars in front of him naturally. But both Paul Clark and Paul Crabb both have. You can see him trying to break the toe already. Paul Clark not following him. Neither was Paul Crabb. But they have closed the gap. Dave Kirkman has managed to keep that gap big enough, to avoid being passed down the main straight. It's unfortunate here as well, Colin, because if the car behind is close enough, you've got no one in front of you. It's almost a done deal.
Yeah, sure. Look, at the end of the day, it's one of these things. You're just punching a massive hole in the air for the other guys to go through and gain about an extra 10 miles an hour, depending on how long the straight is. So yeah, you're pretty much giving them a free pass to get by. It's very frustrating when you're out in front. I'm sure you've been out the front yourself, and there's not much you can do about it. You can only move so much as well on the racing line, and it is just one of those things. You just have to suck it up and then try get the toe on the next lap.
Yeah, very true. And like I said, it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating. It can be a pain. Like I said, yeah, again, you've got to have that the ability just to push through and to try and make sure that, again, when something like that happens, you sort of like knuckle down, head down, and and crack on really. Martina Ward and Dom Langweb are having a good little battle for position there. That was down in for P12, although Dom Langweb does go back on that position there, so that is done dusted. Meanwhile, again, coming down into the hairpin, Dave Kirkman is trying to again defend frantically from both Paul Clark and Paul Crabb. And you know what? I think if we're going to switch to there's the blimp cam there, so you can see, interestingly enough, again, he's done enough because Clark and Crabb, they're battling once again. They don't want to give up position. Interesting, I thought they were working together more. Going down, that's going to be close as they go through. Paul Clark loses out. So Paul Crabb now goes up into P8. Dave Kirkman stays in 7th. But again, after all that, there's only one position gained, and Paul Clark lost out the most there. He's dropped a good 0.7 of a second between himself and Paul Crabb. Although, with how much the battling may be going on in between, or battle up ahead of him as we go on to the roll bar cam now, just so we can see what's happening from the car of Paul Clark, it's probably going to come down to a three-way battle once again. Don't count Michael LeMay out, though. Let's have a look here. So there's Michael LeMay. You can just see, you better see him in a second. There is that three battle. There's Dave Kirkman, Paul Crabb, and then Paul Clark. So if these three keep battling as they have been, I mean, this could become, you've got Dave Dowson there as well. He's only 4 tenths behind Michael LeMay, and then you've got Dom Langweb, only a couple of, a few tenths behind there as well. So this could very, very quickly become a 5-way battle for P7, which would be, it's going to be fantastic for us. It's exactly what we want.
Absolutely, that's all you need. Is the closer the racing goes, especially near the end, you're going to see people doing heroic moves and really pushing themselves to the limit.
Certainly are. Very, very true. We're actually going to go back to that battle and set. We did just see that was Ray Peasley just make a move on. I'm trying to see who that was. Let's see who that was actually.
John just got by Mike, by the way.
That's actually a very good point. Let's just see if we can get a replay of that. So that's a good spot there, Colin. Let's see what happened. It's going to be down into turn 1 and 2. I wonder, I would have a guess there and say Mike Busson got just a little bit too deep going over to that last chicane, and that just cost him time. It looked like John Hutchinson just sort of drove past him at that moment. Again, back on this. This is the main battle to watch out for. You have got Martinez de la Cruz and Paul LeMay, so we'll keep an eye out for that battle here. But this is the battle to really watch out for. Paul Clark possibly going to go up the inside. No, decides against it. at this point here, because look at the gap now, you've got a 7/10 or so gap between Dave Kirkman and Paul Crabb. You want to try and work together at this point, but look, again, it's slowly coming together. Remember that gap between Michael LeMay and Paul Clark? It was, 1.7 seconds, 1.6? It's now 7/10 of a second. This is going to be, remember, with 7 laps to go, this is going to be a 7-car battle, possibly a 7-car battle for P7, which I absolutely cannot wait if this is going to be the case, because that's going to be a very, very interesting. Oh, Dave. Was that Dave Dowson? That was Dave Dowson that went a little bit, that had a bit of a moment. Looks like he just got on the throttle a bit too aggressively on the final section, on the exit of the hairpin. Just car rotated on a little bit. Manages to get away with a half spin, I think. But he has dropped about a second and a half between Dom Langweb. And in all of this, Dave Kirkman has still managed to stay ahead. He's been leading this train for what seems to be an eternity now. It's definitely going to seem like an eternity for him, especially, Colin, because this train is just getting longer and longer.
I was about to ask you, if you were in this race now, where would you like to be in this train? Ideally, if you were racing, where would you feel most comfortable?
Oh, interesting question, actually. That's a really good question, actually, because you can, I mean, I'd probably be happy to be Paul Clark in this position. You got a 1 point at this moment anyway. You got a 1 point. You got a second gap nearest mates. A second or so gap. Actually, 9/10 now as Michael May pulls a bit of time. Dom Langweb, he's got a tall order. Oh, that was Dave Dowson that's had another spin there. You just saw in the background. I think Guy Robertson's had a moment as well. I probably want to be Paul Clark. I think at this point. I think Dom Langweb you've got to get past what's that? 5 people even to that's a tall order to go with. Paul Clark, again, you've got a couple of people behind, so you've got a bit of defending to do, but you can really dive. You can see what's happening on ahead of you here, and it's been a little bit easier. I'd want to be Paul Clark in this situation. Although that may very well change, depending on how close it can get. It's unfortunately there's always going to be a part in when you're in a train like this where you're always going to be in the wrong position. It doesn't matter how good you are at how good of a position you are in certain areas. There is always going to be a point within a battle like this and within a train where you are in the absolute worst position. I just don't think it's... I think actually the person that's in the worst position at the moment is Dave Kirkman. While he is doing an absolutely
think he's in the best
job. You reckon he's in the best position?
Oh, sure, you look at that. Every time he takes a bend, well, other than this corner to be fair, but every time he's on the braking zone, he's on the power that bit earlier, he dictates then when the car behind there, so Paul Crabb and Clark then get on the throttle as well. So then he can actually, if he just goes a little bit later on the throttle than normal, the other guys have to let off and then he pulls that little gap again. So I actually think he's in the best spot at the minute because he is dictating the pace he's doing a very stellar job, to be quite honest. He's very strong on what he's doing so far. He seems quite in control and not under any pressure. So genuinely, I would love to be in his position right now.
It's a fair point, actually. No, he's doing a very good job. Certainly not detracting away from Kirkman's defending role at the moment. He's very good at defending. There's what happened to Guy Robertson a couple of laps ago. And let's have a quick look, if we can, at Dave Dowson and see what happened with Dave Dowson. Here is the replay here. Does he get a bit too aggressive on the throttle? Yeah, just a bit too much on the throttle. The downforce just isn't quite working at that particular moment. Martinez de la Cruz did actually get past. He did get past Paul LeMay. So we're going to see if we can. Get the replay up here. And in fact, here it is. But this is the move on Paul LeMay from Sergio Martinez de la Cruz down into turn 2. Again, pretty controlled move there. Can't really argue with that. LeMay did give him the room. Only just
that was a beautiful move. Yeah, I have to say, there's some fantastic clean racing here tonight. Obviously, this will be my first race here with yourself, and watching all these amazing drivers go around. It's fantastically fair and very hard racing, and it's relentless. I think that's the key word. This racing is just relentless. There's nobody getting any way a breather. Even Simon out front can't really make much of a mistake because he's only 4 seconds ahead. And as you know, you miss one corner, you have to let off the throttle there for about 3 to 4 seconds. That's your lead gone.
Well, as you say, there is no let up. Even though when you do get a gap of 4.5 seconds, you think in 12 laps is very impressive. But yeah, like I said, one mistake and it goes completely against you. So you do have to be really careful, right? Dave looks like Dave Kirkman's defending a little bit more aggressively now. I just see he was definitely holding a tighter line going into the second chicane there. Is he going to do the same going into the hair? Yes, he is. Okay, so Kurtman now is really holding that defensive line. Paul Crabb really takes it back. Oh, I think there was a tap. Oh, there was a tap. What's happened to Paul Crabb? Paul Crabb hasn't. I thought he had a spin there, but no, that isn't the case. Instead, he has just dropped off. Yeah, he's just dropped off a tiny little bit, almost nothing. I think he may have. I certainly would have got a bit spooked there because Paul Crabb looked like he just came across and well within his right to, but that probably led to Paul Clark taking just his foot off the throttle for a split second. And that unfortunately dropped him a tenth or so, and that's put him potentially into the clutches of Dom Langweb. Let's see if we can ride on board with Langweb in a second. In fact, here we go. So the number 8 takes a slightly wider line, trying to get a bit of a cut back here. Again, talking about relentless, you know, while Montreal does have some very big braking zones, a car like this, where you can carry so much corner speed, it's quite tricky actually to make some overtaking, to get some overtaking opportunities. Also, as well, because of the downforce you do lose, it's not massive. It's not a massive amount, admittedly. But you do lose a little bit of downforce if you're behind a couple of cars. And it is noticeable, especially in some of these faster corners, which, you do see that Montreal does have a couple of them. So, you've got to be very brave and very committed to make an overtake. Like we might see here, Langweb's had a very good exit coming down out into the hairpin. Is he going to get the move? You see Clark's going for the defensive line. Oh, that was close. That was very close. It's going to have to be a fair-sized cutback. Oh, no, that was always going to happen. That was always going to happen. It nearly happened last lap. And unfortunately, it just happened at that moment there, only a lap later. We'll see if we can get a replay of that.
And when we were focused on that, Sergio was actually after dropping down the position Paul LeMay got by.
He has indeed. That is very true. We'll see if we can get a replay of that. Oh, that's Paul Clark that nearly went into the wall of champions there. Did very well to avoid it. Although I think that's Dom Lang. No, that's not Dom Langweb. Who is that? I can't quite see who. That's apologies. That's Martina Ward. So Martina Ward again, just really running her own race and again just sort of picking up positions as and when they go. So certainly another. Very good performance there from Martina Ward. I said just in P10. Bear in mind, started in P17. One of the biggest, in fact, the biggest, the highest number of positions gained in this race so far. Only a couple of laps to go, bear in mind, as well. So Martina Ward for MJ Racing, number 23. Next in sight is Michael LeMay. Lap times between the both of them actually look pretty consistent. In fact, Martina Ward's a little bit faster than Michael LeMay for the last couple of laps by the looks. We'll see if that materializes into a battle. The gap being 1.2 seconds at the moment. Let's see if we can see what happened there between. Let's see if we can see what happened between Paul Crabb and Paul Clark. So here we go. Well, a bit of netcode didn't help the situation there, but I think again it was a racing incident really. Paul Crabb looked like he just drifted across a little bit too much, and Paul Crabb would have been very tricky to remove himself from that particular situation there. So a big shame there, and unfortunately Paul Crabb did lose out the most. Yeah, again, certainly not the battle ending that we wanted to have seen there. Here's the other replay that we did want to see. That was it, because Sergio Martinez de la Cruz obviously had an off going through down into... that's down into the first chicane. No, it's down into the second. Oh, interesting, actually. So it looked like Paul May was trying to have a bit of a look at the inside there, and Martinez de la Cruz didn't want to give up the position, and obviously had to get rid of a slowdown. That's probably why he. That's what it all stemmed from. It looks like. So de la Cruz has to get all back past Paul LeMay now. It took him a good few laps to do it again. I don't think he's going to have enough laps.
No, I don't think there's enough time now for it. I have to say, though, I'm actually rooting here for Martina to get by Michael if she can within the next 2 laps.
The gap's
that's it. Sorry?
I was about to say, the gap's 8 tenths per second. It's sort of hovering between 7 and 8 tenths. We are on the last lap now, though. It's the last lap for Simon Edwards. So, the gap's now down to half a second. It could very well be. It's going to have to be a very... In fact, I don't think Michael LeMay got a particularly good exit out of the hairpin. So this could very well be an opportunity here. Yeah, you're probably going to
consistency.
take about 10th and a half on the straight, I reckon.
I don't think it's that strong. Looking at all the cars when you're following, like the toe hasn't been that majorly strong, so
Yeah,
Martinez staying out of it.
yeah, it's true. It's like I said, the gap was what? It's about 0.6 of a second now. So we'll see if that does come down. It came down a few tenths going through on this second to last lap. So we'll see if the same thing happens again. This is one of the closest battles. Another close battle we've got here is between Dave Kirkman and Dom Lang-Webb. This is going to have to be a very, very brave and bold move towards the end of this lap, and it's going to be something's going to happen here. Something is definitely going to happen. Martin Booker is just past Damien G there. We can see on the timing tower that changed over. And the slipstream, I probably wouldn't make a move here in all honesty. No, Dom Lang-Webb bats out. He's waiting for that back straight. That's the gap that he wants, and that's the
look at the drive.
Position. Very, very good drive indeed.
Yeah, with this now, very smart driving. And if I was him, I'd just literally wait and be on the rear axle of him then for the exit of the next corner.
Absolutely. But meanwhile, all the way up ahead, look at that. Simon Edwards with a 4.7 second gap to John Hutchison takes round 7 victory. The Radical Race Series. Absolutely stellar drive. Fair play to John Hutchison for getting all the way back up into P2. But again, Paul LeMay does take P4 in the end. But what's going to happen here? I don't think it's going to be unless we've got Dom Lang-Webb that has a stellar drive. He does have a good drive, though. Is it going to be enough? The gap's a 10th of a second. I don't think it is. It's going to be close, though, but it's not going to be enough. No. Still very, very close, though. You can definitely see why Dom Lang-Webb was just trying to wait for that back straight, but they're still battling. They're still battling even after the race. Yeah, they obviously enjoyed themselves there. No end. Couple of drivers to come across the line, and then we will be giving you the results, and then we'll hopefully have a quick catch up with a couple of our drivers. Colin, again, first race with us. How was that for you? That was, I can imagine that was quite an intense experience, but hopefully a good one.
I absolutely loved every second of it. There was just hard racing, as I was saying, throughout the field. It was relentless, but the quality of driving, there was an awful lot of great sportsmanship, even though there was one or two little incidents, as I would call them myself, even racing incidents. I just think the quality of driving is phenomenal. The racecraft with them is amazing, and you can even see with the car control, they really understand the machinery they're driving, and they're on the limit every lap. I don't think there wasn't a lap there where everyone wasn't on that limit. It was phenomenal.
That's very, very true. It's very, very true, actually. That's a very, very good point. We do have the results for you now, so we're going to bring them up in a second. Yeah, again, just absolutely fantastic racing all the way through the field, and again, another really, really strong pairing. I've always said there's been some interesting pairings that have really worked, but this is a pairing that you always knew was going to work. The Radicals around Montreal here. So your official finishing results here. So Simon Edwards taking that win by 4.6 seconds in the end over John Hutchison in P2. Mike Busson takes third with Paul LeMay in fourth. Sergio Martinez de la Cruz takes P5 with Colin Wynn in sixth. Dave Kirkman takes seventh with Dom Lang-Webb finishing in P8. Michael LeMay in ninth and Martin Ward finishing in P10. Paul Crabb takes 11th with Paul Clark in 12th. Ray Peasley takes 13th on the race with Phil Glover finishing in P14. Graham Brown in 15th, and then we've got Martin Booker 16th, Damien G in 17th. Kyle Robertson, after a couple of spins, comes home in P18. Phil Jocelyn in 19th after an incident, going into turn 3 with Dave Kirkman. Dave Dowson in P20, and then Dave Rolliston, unfortunately, not making the start in P21. We're going to give it another few moments before we have a quick chat with a couple of drivers. Just wait for them to jump into the interview waiting room. And while we do that, we're going to go for a very, very quick break. Stick around, and then when we come back, we'll hopefully have a couple of chats with the drivers. Stick around. Welcome back, everyone. So, results have been read, and now what we're going to do is have a very quick catch-up with each of our drivers. First one, and the first driver I'd like to speak to now is Mr. Simon Edwards. Simon, I mean, having pulled out half a second in qualifying, you must have had some confidence going down into this race. That was a very, very strong performance.
Yeah, it was all down to the first lap. So it was a really cold temperature, so it was really iffy on the tyres on the first lap. But I just got away, and it was obviously Mike who was having the issues with the cold tyres more than me. So once I got that first lap out of the way, I could just go away at my pace. I don't know why I've got such pace around here. In the end, I started losing focus, and then I realised John was catching me, so I tried to pick it back up again, and then I tried to do the fastest lap on the last lap, and I've nearly ended up in the Wall of Champions. I was sideways.
We did. I have noticed actually the last lap that you did was a 1:30.8, and normally, obviously, I'm thinking, going, okay, I wonder where that was. And so there we go. That was what happened there. Again, regardless of whether you know where the performance comes from, I mean, certainly take that performance there because 4.6 seconds. I believe with what happened with Martin Booker, obviously with what happened, finishing at P16. That's actually put you into the I believe the top of the standings. We'll have to get that confirmed, obviously for next week. But again, still a long way to go though. But I'm sure this again is giving you a confidence boost going to next week.
Yeah, definitely. And John was directly behind me, so I'm not going to move too far, I think, because I think John was up there close as well. So I'll have a look at the championship afterwards. I forgot where we are next week.
Do you know what? That's something that I've actually. I should probably have a better understanding of the calendar. We are at, if I can confirm, we're at Silverstone next week. One of my particularly favourite tracks. One of my more local tracks. So no, that's gonna be interesting stuff. Very much looking forward to seeing everyone on track there. Simon, we're gonna have a quick chat with Phil now. But again, really, really good stuff. Congratulations again on the win, and we'll see you at Silverstone next week.
All right, thank you guys.
Take care,
Well
Simon.
done.
So, Simon Edwards, absolutely stellar performance from the race winner there. Now, very, very quickly, we're going to have a brief catch-up with Mr. Phil Glover. Phil, again, finishing P14, having started in P19, obviously, positions were gained. Just talk us through that race from your perspective.
Yeah, I just felt I was making up the numbers tonight, to be honest. Although I kept out of trouble, so that's a real positive, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like I said, positions are gained. We obviously had a couple of people, unfortunately, that are having some incidents. So, again, a 4-position gain. A 5-position gain is still a 5-position gain. So, again, we're at Silverstone next week. How do you feel about that circuit? Compared to obviously, do you prefer Silverstone more than Montreal?
To be honest, Silverstone's not a track I drive an awful lot. It's quite a flat track. There aren't very many markers for me to understand what's going on, to be honest, sometimes. That's probably because I don't drive it a lot, to be honest. But, take it in our stride, I guess.
Well, certainly so. At the end of the day, it's something that, if there's anything, when it comes to Silverstone, and Silverstone is a tricky circuit because it is such a big circuit, and these cars are pretty small. So it's not the easiest circuit to run around in. But again, a little bit more with some practice, you'll be absolutely fine. But again, the positives are positive. A 5-position gain, kept out of trouble. That's certainly some positives to take away from there. If you'd like to give before we wrap up though, would you like to give a quick shout out to anyone?
The usual organisers, Chris and Dominic and Martina behind the scenes, so they keep it all going, and of course you guys. Thanks very much.
Right, so appreciate it as always, Phil. Great to catch up. Look forward to catching up with you next week as well. And yeah, again, really, really well done.
Yeah, take care, guys. Thank you.
Be good.
So, Colin, we do have to wrap up. Again, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating alongside you for the first time, and hopefully it's the first. It is the first of many. Again, just final thoughts from you before we wrap up.
Yeah, hopefully we definitely do this again. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. Honestly, amazing racing throughout the whole field, to be quite honest with you. And there's one thing with Phil, I wanted to say it to him when he was there, but obviously he's gone. He's not there to make up the numbers. Everyone doesn't come into a racing league starting out to be the fastest. He's done very respectable. He's come from 19th up to 14th. He's been consistent, and he's got a home, like, so he should be proud in what he's done, and he can build on that from next week and keep building on it. And I do want to say another standout driver's been Martina Ward for me, as well as Dave Kirkman. Phenomenal drivers behind. It's not just all about the guys at the front, so well done to Simon, John and Mike. But yeah, I think everyone behind put on a great show for us, and I'm sure I think anyone who's been watching this will agree with it, and I'm sure yourself you'll agree with it. I think everybody that was being in it from first to 21st, and unfortunately the 21st car didn't get to race in the main race. Well, it's been phenomenal throughout it, so I don't think anyone's there to make up numbers. It's been absolutely epic, and this is only my first race to ever seen this. So for me, I can't wait now to see what Silverstone's going to be like.
Oh, absolutely, and very much looking forward to having you there. But that, unfortunately, is it. We are at Silverstone, as we have mentioned, next week. So make sure you tune in at the same time, the same place, obviously, on the Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel, starting at 8:45 BST. But we do have to, as I said, wrap up. Fantastic driving for everyone. Again, very well done to the top three Summer Novas, John Hutchison and Mike Busson. Unfortunately, we weren't able to have a chat with them, but hopefully we will next week. But until next time, everyone, as always, make sure you take care and stay safe.